I'm Insomniac.
And I'm Pops.
And this is Shooting the Shit.
a.k.a. Chatting with Pops.
So this is episode 4 of Shooting the Shit. We're back, and our shirts almost match. Shout out to Gene from Beard Cigar Beer. I think you guys all know who he is. So yeah, episode 4. It's another patron exclusive episode. So you guys got to pick the topic, and today's topic we agreed on was actually submitted by 2 of you, and that is Brian Fry and Travis Sanchez. And the topic was to pretty much discuss gun laws and gun rights. This is something that me and my father actually mostly agree on, and we live in one of the fucking worst states on the planet for gun rights and laws.
True.
So we got plenty to say about that.
Yeah.
Actually, I got plenty to say about this whole topic.
Right.
He has some interesting anecdotes about the days of old and gun rights. So I think this is gonna be good. I think where we should start is with our wonderful home state. We live in New Jersey.
Yeah, New Jersey.
New Jersey, other than I think California, has the toughest gun laws on the planet. We have magazine restrictions to the extent that a couple of the pistols that I've purchased, I had 17-round magazines that I wasn't allowed to have. They had to be professionally pinned to 15 rounds or they would have been illegal.
Yeah.
So you have the magazine capacity issues and no legal carry of any kind here for anybody. So pretty much if you're outside of your house, there's no level playing field. The criminals got guns, you don't. And
bottom line, right there on that note, the criminals have more fucking rights than I could even speak on. I mean, I don't know what goes on in New Jersey. The rights the criminals have are unbelievable.
In fact, let me elaborate on that for New Jersey specifically and gun rights and what I just told you about not being able to carry. The laws are so slung in the criminals' direction in this state that if you want to protect yourself in your own house with your own legal firearm, there's still about a 90% chance you're going to prison. You have to shoot that person while they're facing you, and it has to be proven that they were also holding a gun and going to shoot you with it. Or else if somebody were to break into your house in the middle of the night and they have, let's say, a machete, and they're in the other room not paying attention and you shoot them, you're going to prison.
Yeah.
That's our laws here.
It's not equal force.
It's not equal
cut
force.
your head
Apparently,
off.
I'd have to put my gun down and go find a machete so I could hand-to-hand combat the motherfucker.
Sick shit.
Who broke into my house.
Fucking bullshit.
So that's how New Jersey works.
What the?
And like I said, outside of here, now here's another point I'd like to make directly related to that. I challenge anybody watching this to go look up gun crime statistics in states where you're allowed to carry versus a place like fucking New Jersey or a city like Chicago or most of California. Look at that difference. It's not a coincidence. That's the difference between criminals here know that nobody here is carrying a gun, so everyone's easy prey, versus in all those other states that are free states where you're allowed to actually have your Second Amendment right. They know that there's a good chance they shouldn't fuck with anybody because an old lady will pull a revolver out of her purse.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that, speaking of that, I have an interesting story. When I was a kid, real young, probably 3, my sister was 2. We lived over here in Bloomfield, New Jersey, and they were building an off-ramp for the Garden State Parkway, which now today is really a parkway. I don't know why they named it that, because it is a parkway, not a... you don't drive.
It doesn't move.
It's a fucking mess. But anyway, so they were building an off-ramp and eminent domain. They told my father, you got to get out of this house. And my old man, was like, he couldn't get out when they wanted. So they start working right around our house, and a big rock came through the window, hit my sister in the back. Well, at that time, here's the difference in the gun laws. Just, 51, 52 years ago. My father had guns. You could have guns then. And unfortunately, my old man was crazy. When my sister got hit with the rock, he grabbed the guns and went outside and started shooting. And, and he got arrested. But it wasn't a big deal. Like today,
he didn't go to prison, right?
He didn't go to prison. No, I mean,
I was actually told along this same vein, talking about the difference between the rights then and now. And again, this was in New Jersey. They lived here in Jersey. I was told by his friend, who's a state trooper, or was actually a sergeant for the state troop.
And you will see this, Andy.
Yeah, that I remember asking him directly when I first bought my first legally purchased firearm, whether or not I would have any type of legal issue if I had a gun on me on my property. Not waving it around on the lawn, but just had it either in a holster or if I were cleaning a gun on the porch, smoking a cigar. And he gave me a very polite diplomatic version of, "You're fucked."
Yeah, don't do that.
He basically told me that, if anybody sees the gun, cops will show up and say I'm brandishing.
Right.
Which is a big difference between brandishing a weapon and cleaning your fucking gun on the porch. But that's how strict it is here. You're not allowed to...
it's ridiculous.
You're not allowed to do any of that.
Quite frankly, it's absurd. The laws are absurd here. And then we can get into this area, which will piss a lot of people off that don't agree with what we're saying, and that is guns don't fucking kill people.
Guns don't kill people.
People fucking kill people.
And let's make something very clear right here. Gun rights and gun laws are a common sense issue, plain and simple. Here's what you have to, if you zoom out and look at the big picture, here's what you have to realize. There are, I don't know what the number is, probably somewhere on the internet, but millions or billions, something fucking insane in terms of the number of guns that are out there. Even the government couldn't actually take those guns. Plus, there are so many unregistered guns, lost guns. It could never, ever be taken away. So, sadly, at this point, guns are almost a necessity because your only chance of survival against somebody who is evil and has a gun is if you have a gun. Guess what? Your whole, holding signs and peaceful, protests and memes aren't gonna fucking help you if somebody breaks into your house and wants to harm you or your family. It is that simple. And see, here's another thing: is a lot of people find guns to be scary. I have friends and family members who are like, "Oh, guns," and they are intimidating. There's a lot of power there.
Oh, they are.
The thing is, once I put a gun unloaded in some of these people's hands and start going through some of the functions and stuff, they go from nervous about it to excited about the prospect of actually going to the range and learning how to shoot, and then also starting to understand, unless I pull this trigger, the gun can't harm anybody.
Right.
And it's a good idea to learn how to pull that trigger and how to hit what you're aiming at, because it's a necessity. It doesn't mean that you're evil. It means that you want to protect yourself or your family, because there is a lot of evil shit out there and a lot of people that have these weapons, and they're not going away.
And back to the topic again. My old man went and grabbed the guns and went outside back then. The guns didn't jump up by themselves and go out and start shooting at anybody. I know how ridiculous this sounds. And then Edward could twist that around and make...
Sorry.
Oh, he's going for the fucking liquor again.
Oh, I'm taking a break.
He's taking a break. You gotta be fucking... Look at this shit. Alright, where was I? Yeah.
So, it's almost 4 o'clock.
You screwed up my thought.
Oh, go ahead.
My process is screwed up with this shit.
You want some?
No, I never want some. It's ridiculous. So people just come up with some convoluted bullshit. You just gotta learn how to handle a gun. We have rights to have guns, and we should have them. Now, I'm not a big gun toter. I go to the range and shoot now and then, this and that. I like them. No question, I find myself to be somewhat, fearful in a good way with the guns. Sometimes I'm kind of nervous at the range.
You gotta respect it.
You gotta respect it. No question about it. It's not a game. It's not something you play with. It's dangerous. But you gotta know how to handle it. And, and even though I know how to handle it, and we go to the range now and then, we have guns. I am still somewhat nervous with it. It's definitely something, you should have a healthy fear. Yeah, a healthy fear for, bottom line. So, I don't know,
practice helps with that, though, and gun safety. Look, if I were to, kind of lean slightly towards the gun control issue, the only thing I would suggest, and that I think everybody in my family has agreed on, really, is if there were to be any regulation, it would be that maybe some type of safety course should be required before you can purchase a firearm. And I'm a big proponent of that for anybody. One of my friends, who I won't mention on camera, but about 2 years ago wanted to get himself a gun, and before he ever went through that process and we went and got the permits and I helped him, purchase his first firearm. I taught him and his wife how to shoot. And all the safety precautions, the parts of the gun, how to use the gun. Right. I think that should be a prerequisite to getting a weapon.
Yeah, no question.
But short of that, being able to protect yourself from everything from, your domestic assholes to the government themselves, which was actually one of the reasons why the Second Amendment was actually created. Right. It is a necessity, it's a right, and that's common sense.
No question.
One other big thing, one huge thing is, a lot of people like to talk about statistics that they don't know what they're talking about, but a lot of people also don't want to do any research on firearms and actually learn what the fuck you're talking about. You see people all over the news and the media talking about wanting to ban semi-automatic weapons. Well, then I guess we're going back to muzzle loaders in the 1800s. Because let me explain something to you. I brought a couple not fake props out to show you this. This is a semi-automatic weapon. Now, this is the type of scary shit that they want to ban.
And I'm going like this because
there's no bullets in it. You can see here. You can see here. There's no bullets in it. This is a semi-automatic weapon, and I'll explain to that what that is in a second. But before I do, this is also a semi-automatic weapon. Here's what people don't realize: a semi-automatic weapon. That's why the word semi is there. An automatic weapon is the one where you pull the trigger and it just unloads the fucking clip until you let go. Semi-automatic weapons like this and the rifle I just showed you, you pull the trigger once, one bullet comes out. You have to aim at something and you have to hit it. And pretty much you can only shoot it as fast as your finger can move. That is the difference. So when you hear all these assholes talking about wanting to ban semi-automatic weapons, they're literally saying every rifle and every pistol pretty much ever made, all the way back to, muzzle loaders and single shot. What the fuck are we talking about here? So people don't know what they're talking. They're not, well read on this topic, but they want to talk about it because they just hear the word gun and it's automatically scary. And those are dipshits.
And let me say this: I am totally compassionate towards the fact that people's loved ones have probably been shot or killed, and again by an animal, by a criminal, and then of course the ideas are, well, if we have no guns, that'll never be. So that's
that's impossible.
And it's not that I'm caring, I'm feeling. That's a horrible thing to lose somebody, in any way, but especially by some animal who shoots down your kid or your husband, your wife. It's a sad situation.
Definitely, but
we need to have better laws for criminals. And I've just gone through something recently that I staggered my mind with someone who was clearly a blatant criminal, and he has all the rights in the world, out of jail in no time. It just doesn't make sense. We need to deal with that. So, I just want to get that in there.
And one of the things that, kind of talking about what he's saying here that I think people need to realize, and President Trump got a lot of flack for this after the Paris attack, for saying what I'm about to say. But you also have to realize that, in terrible tragedies where, loved ones got lost, etc., how many fewer people would have died if there were good people, the right people, there with guns.
Right.
When you ban guns from legally from all the people who are actually going to follow the law, you completely eliminate your chances of having a chance of survival. True. So a lot of lives could have been saved by more people having guns. That's what you have to realize. At the very least, even if it were to be an equal amount of deaths, well, the people on the wrong side of the law might have took that bullet, and not the innocent victims. And just what he said, it's 100% true. It is absolutely impossible for all of the guns to be taken off the streets. 1,000,000%. It cannot happen ever in our entire lifetime.
Never.
So that whole argument's bullshit. They can't get rid of the guns. They're never going to get rid of the guns. All you're going to do if they were to ever, make some shit move like that would be to strip guns from the legal law-abiding citizens who are actually trying to do the right thing. And you see all the time, never on the news, of course, because they're super liberal, but you see all over the internet when you search for it, how many different times every single day there are people that, try to attempt to rob a place or hold somebody else, hold somebody up, or do a carjacking, and a good Samaritan who has a legally concealed firearm saves the other people's lives. It happens all the time.
And in fact, I've seen plenty of those videos where as soon as that good Samaritan pulls out the gun, or the store clerk, man, that criminal's running out the door. I've seen it. I've seen it with my eyes, my own eyes. And I've also seen Good Samaritans help cops that are being wrestling with a criminal on the ground, trying to get their gun. Some Good Samaritan like me or you comes along and helps that cop. I know I would do it.
I saw a video recently of a cop on the highway that was pinned down by a suspect trying to get his gun.
Right.
And a guy got out of his car and shot that guy to death.
That's right.
The cop would have been dead.
In that case, he shot the guy. It's just a sad situation. People don't think clearly. And again, I do not want to come off like I'm not compassionate or don't have a heart towards someone who's lost someone. But again, you're talking...
I think our argument is honestly the opposite, because the situation here isn't just like, we love guns, everyone shoot shit. It's basically, let's give the innocent people a chance to defend themselves.
Give the law-abiding person
that's what it is. So, I mean, honestly, I think it can't even... If you have a half a brain, this can't be misconstrued as a heartless argument. It's the opposite.
Right.
You're going to save more lives. Listen, if you're watching this and you have a family, for example, like I've talked about this with my girlfriend 1,000 times, if down the line, her and I were to have a family, guns have to be a part of that. Because if you want to protect your family properly, you have to be ready for anything. And sometimes that anything, as you see on the news all the time, is something to the tune of a home invasion.
Yeah.
And if you get, 1, 2, 3 guys come in that house and they got guns, what are you gonna do without one? Nothing. You're gonna beg and plead for your life. That's what you're gonna do, and that's shit. That's a shit option.
Unfortunately, there's too many fucking laws for criminals. Also, there's way too many untreated people who have mental illness. That's no joke. That's sad. A lot of things need to be done. But talk about, and I want to bring politics up for 1 second, but across the aisles, really need to meet over here and get the right laws passed, take care of people with mental illnesses. There's a lot of things that are the reason for, guns being victim.
Right. I guess I'll add one thing to the things that
Ridiculous.
I said that I would, be all right with in terms of gun control. Proper screening, like you're saying, that is a must. Because if you got some guy who's absolutely fucking out of his mind,
I have no problem with waiting either.
Has a history of mental illness, fine. That person doesn't belong with a firearm. That's absolutely true. And like I said before, some type of course so you at least know how to handle the damn thing. But outside of that, basically leave everyone hell alone. All 50 states need to have equal Second Amendment rights.
Absolutely. We should, just like South Carolina, many of these other states, and like you said, go look up statistics. It's way worse in our cities here. We should be able to carry our guns. It's not even a reasonable situation in this state and many others. It's ridiculous.
And the crime rates are disproportionate.
Ridiculous.
In the cities where there's lots of gun control, that's where the most gun crimes and deaths are happening. I mean, listen, if guns killed people, this whole house would be dead, because off camera, what you can't see right here is actually a boatload of guns. There's guns in this house, and nobody's ever died by our hands ever. So,
and even with my
it will never happen.
And even with my crazy old man having guns, and back then it wasn't all this strict. And I grew up in a crazy house. My father was crazy. One would say he probably shouldn't have guns. Probably not. But funny part, he never shot anybody. But, well, he tried that day, right? He was shooting at the bulldozers, whatever. But right. And nobody was killed there. So, right, there's a great argument, because I lived in a madhouse.
So everybody go out and get some guns. Moral of this story. And
you'll be waiting, and that's okay.
And if you want to learn a little bit about them, or you want to learn how to shoot, and you're in the New Jersey area, feel free to send Insomniac a message. I will happily go to the range with you.
That's it.
I'm actually not kidding either.
No, we're not.
So I actually enjoy, my uncle taught me how to shoot, and he's the man.
Yep.
And I like to pass that along. It's a little
He taught us all, really.
He did.
Me too.
He's awesome.
I mean, I never really handled the gun until Uncle Mike, helped us all. And that's another story we won't get on.
Oh.
Love you, Uncle Mike.
That's right. Good stuff. All right, so see you at episode 5, which actually is going to be a public episode. So everybody watching this, don't pout. Like I said, 1 episode per month is going to be a public episode, so everyone gets a taste. But you guys are getting the goods here. So.
And your other topics are there.
Right, they're still there, and I will ask the question again so you can submit some new topics.
Yeah,
we're going to keep working through them. So. Yep. All right, good stuff. Goodbye.
Goodbye.